This is my indie film review of Cubic Zirconia, directed by Jaron Lockridge, and starring Lamont Johnson as Bobby Clarke, a detective in Tennessee, who is investigating at first the mysterious disappearance of a character called Tamara, whose body is later found and vamps up the investigation because not only has she been killed, her two children have also disappeared. Bobby is joined by a detective from another agency who comes in, played by Kate Mobley, called Natalie, and the two of them investigate the situation surrounding Tamara's disappearance, starting with her partner and the children's father, who has been having some issues with her. And, he becomes prime suspect, but there's a lot more to this story, and there's a lot more that goes on. I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it, but absolutely love this. I thought it was great. First off is the atmosphere that is being created here. The filmmakers really know how to bring you in and grip you. We get an emotional backstory to Bobby and why he is the way he is and his tone and everything, which is brilliantly captivated by the performer, by Lamont Johnson. It's a terrific central performance, really subtle, understated, lots of silence being used, not loads of additional dialogue to explain himself and give too much away. Instead, it's more of a reserved performance that actually sucks you in with intrigue, and yeah, I love that. But yeah, the tone of the film works really well. Felt a little bit like True Detective. It reminded me of that sort of vibe, and I think viewers that like that sort of show and like really sort of strong, gritty crime dramas are going to be in their element here. I wouldn't say it's on the gruesome side of things either, so it's got a good mainstream appeal. The kind of race against time element with the children being missing, I think that is its core appeal because it gives this a lot of momentum. The film, as it goes along, you're really questioning what's going to happen. Where are these children? Obviously the stakes have already been raised because we've seen a murder, and yeah, we want to find out what's happening. The supporting cast are pretty good. There's different family members and people that get spoken to. There's different people within the law enforcement agencies that get involved, and yeah, as a whole, they don't overstep it too much with too many characters. There's enough there to sort of play around with, keep it varied, but they don't lose focus. One element where it could have been derailed a little bit was they've put in some scenes that I just think maybe they didn't have the budget for it. I put this in my written review, which is like early on, there's a scene with a tub of ice cream and the logo is blurred out. And that's clearly for copyright reasons. But for me, it felt like an oversight that you couldn't just have had a different tub or something else or something more innocuous. You didn't need to necessarily do that. And when indie films have a budget restriction or when they have issues, I know appreciate that it's sometimes just difficult to fix and it's not great. But it's just something there that, okay, let that slip. Then there's a couple of other scenes later on where they give press conferences and the characters are sort of standing up and they've sort of got a desk in front of them maybe. And I get it, these scenes are really important. We need them. They need to explain what's going on and it adds gravitas to the whole proceedings. But they felt a little bit budgetary and we don't see all the journalists. We don't see a room full of people sort of asking questions and like that scene, that Gone Girl, where they're sort of really pushing them for information. Instead, it felt quite like, oh, you're just giving us like a summary of what's happening, and the backdrops didn't look that impressive, as opposed to the rest of the locations, which actually were pretty good. There's lots of homes being used and fields and outdoor scenes. It's all pretty varied. And I know when it comes to indie filmmaking in particular, that stuff is expensive and doing shoots, and I get it. I do get it. It's just a couple of bits that sort of stood out as being, oh, okay, right, yeah, it's not quite on the same in the same league as, say, something like True Detective. In terms of the themes of the film and things going on, I think largely it's that central character of Bobby that we're drawn to and his situation, what's going on. It's been brilliantly written. You really care about his character. The performance itself is just absolutely sensational. I said it again in my review. Happily watch a series or a franchise where we see Bobby Clarke solving mysteries in Tennessee. Just works. And with Lockridge directing and writing. It's got that caliber about it in terms of you really engage, you get sucked into the atmosphere brilliantly right from the beginning as well. It starts a little bit sort of shaky, kind of which territory am I in? But very quickly, I would say within 5-10 minutes, I was into this, and I stayed in it throughout. I did not feel at all that I was watching anything inferior or anything like that. I felt that this was great. Just needed maybe a bit more budget behind it, and hopefully they'll get that the more of these great movies they make. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's called Cubic Zirconia. I won't say why it's called that, but it is important, and I thoroughly recommend it. I don't think it's out yet. I had a look earlier. I think we were given a password protected link, but hopefully it'll be out soon. There's an IMDb page you can follow. We'll blast the socials and tag where we can. There is a Instagram page which is the STXIX universe, the Sticks universe. So yeah, check them out, follow them, and stay tuned for Cubic Zirconia because I thought it was great.